amazing listeners. It's Kylie King here, and I'm the founder of Australian Ladies in Business Initiative, as we fondly know as ALIBI. And today I am super excited, and I'm trying to keep my nerves down and stop my fangirling because we are joined by the amazing Leonie Dawson. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, KK, it is a joy to be here, and I have to make up nicknames for absolutely everybody I come into contact with. So, yeah, like, I'm sorry, but it can't be changed now. Like, KK is now the thing that you are.
Awesome. I will take that. And you know what? That is exactly why we named this community ALIBI, so it had a nickname.
Oh, perfect. Actually, just lucky that like your middle name isn't Katrina, because then you'd be the KKK. That would be really awkward of us.
I know. I'm sort of glad my parents thought that part through.
Good
So
on them.
instead, my middle name is an A, so I'm just CAC. And I probably
Oh,
told you
perfect.
that. So, because
I
I
love that
know.
actually. That works really well for me. No, good on them. That is forward thinking on your parents' behalf. I feel like I really missed like a naming opportunity to name my kids like the same letter as our last name, Dawson. And I really tried. Like I went through all of the names trying to find good D names, and the best I could come up with like was Delta Dawson, and I was like, no, it's not for us. And then if I had a boy, I would have liked to call him Darcy Dawson after Pride and Prejudice. But our cousin ended up calling their son Darcy Dawson. And so I'm just thrilled that there's a Darcy Dawson in the world because, yay, Pride and Prejudice. I don't know if they called it for Pride and Prejudice reasons, but for me, yes, 100%.
That's awesome. So, for the listeners that haven't heard about you or stalked you yet, even though I'm a keen stalker, what do you do? Would you like to introduce yourself and let them know what you do?
Sure, I just talk shit on the internet and tell stories that go nowhere, really. That is me. I'm really bad at elevator pitches. I don't know. I've just managed to be very, very blessed to have a creative career on the internet for a really friggin' long time. I have been doing my business. I've been selling online since 2002. I started blogging in 2004. I left my Australian government job to be full-time in business in 2010. Um, and I've brought in over $14 million in revenue while only working 10 hours a week. And I've written books about setting your goals, and it's all rainbows and unicorns. And I also have the Brilliant Business Life Academy, which is my membership for business owners. There's like 5,000 people, and I teach them how to grow and market their business and do it in a way that's really, really ridiculously abundant. But it's also fun and creative at the same time.
Mm. And so I came across you because another wonderful member of our community said, "Have you heard about Leonie Dawson?" And I was like, "No." And then I came and I sort of fell into your universe and just absolutely loved it. And as I was saying beforehand, I had a question and no one I could find could answer the question. It was about self-publishing a book
Mm.
and a journal, and I wanted to take it online. And I have your Biz Life journal. So I asked a question and I was not expecting a response. And you're amazing. We call it VA, right
Yep.
hand, Zeta,
Yep.
just straight away gave me an answer and
Mm.
gave me the proper answer. Didn't try and say, oh, you have to come in and do this or take these 10 steps. She was just like, this is the answer. And I was like, I love someone who doesn't gatekeep. And then
Hmm.
I became your stalker. Really, that's how it happened.
Well, like this is like if somebody else asks a question, like we just want to like help them. Like if we can point them in the right direction, amazing. We like have know so much from this whole business journey. If we can help people along the way, amazing. Or if we can direct them to the right resource, cool. So, um, it's not like I used to be the one that answered all of the emails. I don't have the capacity to now, but I've got some really lovely staff which do it, which is so handy.
So you mentioned before you left your government job, what motivated you to get started and, get your creativity out there?
I really wanted to have a creative career from the get-go, from when I was a kid. And my parents were very pragmatic farmers, and they were like, you can't have a creative career because you will not make any money from that. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll choose like the second best option then. And that is to become Prime Minister of Australia. That's just how my brain works. I was like, well, I do want to create change in the world. So I guess I'll just go be Prime Minister instead. So I moved to Canberra at a really young age. I was 20 when I moved there, and I got to work in Parliament House, and I got to meet ministers and deputy prime ministers and be a part of that very fun, exciting environment. Like, it was such a mind-blowing experience for someone like so young and from a very small country town, and really quickly realized like, oh, I'm not going to be able to be all of myself in this environment. And there's more inside me that needs to be shared. And so I need to go back to that original idea of having that creative career. So I think I was maybe 24 when I like made the commitment that I would be a creative, and told my parents, and they weren't thrilled about it at all. But it doesn't matter because it's my life and I get to do it. And as I was doing that, I also recognized like I don't have the business and marketing skills to work out how to make an income from this. Like, it seems completely unattainable to me. I'm not somebody who was like a born entrepreneur at all. I was never born good with money or anything like that. I was definitely somebody who just frittered the shit away on art supplies and books. And um, it really was like that. I had to make a commitment to learn about business and marketing and start implementing it every day and trying out new things, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't, and building on those successes. So once I'd made that commitment to really build those business and marketing muscles, that's when I started seeing some really big shifts in my business, and getting to a point where I could leave my job after that.
And you mentioned before as well, you've made $14 million by only working 10 hours a week.
Mm.
That sounds like witchcraft, Leonie. Like, it
Mm.
sounds like your magic.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily like what I set out to do. It's just how life happened. So I was still working in the Australian government, and so I still worked. Um, you know, I did 4 days, like I moved down to 4 days a week. I'm like quite risk adverse financially. And so I didn't want to just like quit my job entirely to build up business. I wanted to build it up incrementally on the side. So I started building my business on the side. Um, and I decided not to leave that government job until I was 9 months pregnant with my first daughter, and then be full time in my business, but sustained by my business. And so I left my government job and I had a baby, and I had a baby that I didn't want to put into daycare. I wanted to be able to like exclusively breastfeed and be a really connected parent. That was a really high priority for me. So the only like parts of time that I could find to work was really 10 hours a week, if that. It would be like 2 hours in the afternoon. Part of that is when she napped. She didn't really nap that much. And so I would kind of need to escape down the road to a park and work there for an hour or two while my husband walked around the backyard with a crying baby. And that's just how it had to happen. And my husband and I both left our government jobs to do that. And so I needed to make money. I needed to bring in the abundance for our family. And it was just the perfect ecosystem of making me really clear on what was going to bring in money in the least amount of time and effort, because I just didn't have anything to give. I needed money, but I didn't have much time to do it. And getting really clear on what worked, what didn't, what brings in revenue, what doesn't, and just killing off a huge task list. And I think like 4 Hour Work Week, the book, provides like a pretty good framework for that. I also have a workshop about it called Work Less, Earn More, and how you go through that process of working out the tasks that are just like busy tasks that actually don't move the needle at all in your business, that you can just kill off, and it reduces your work hours with minimal impact to your revenue, if at all.
It's true. We do get caught in the hustle and bustle of sort of everything, and then go, oh, what's going on there? So
Yeah, being like super strategic, that's the game plan here. There's like I absolutely could work 40 to 80 hours a week. There is the work, I could find work to do that, but there's no point. Like, I'm earning the income that I want to earn, and I don't really have that much time outside of parenting to do that. And also I have a body condition called hypermobility, so my bones dislocate quite easily. So I can't really sit for more than 10 hours a week without shit happening.
But I did read recently on your page you had quite a big business and you had lots of employees, and then
Mm,
decided to change it up and go back to pretty much just you and your right-hand Zeta. Like,
yeah.
how was that as a transition for you?
Like getting building up to the big team, it was like, we're in high growth mode, and I had my goals workbooks, and we decided that we wanted to do, instead of doing print on demand, which is where people order a book and the company will print and ship, we decided we wanted to print in China ourselves and then cargo ship them to 3 different countries, set up distribution houses, and um, I just felt like that was the next right step to take. And the goals workbooks were so popular. We would be sending out like 80,000 packages in the space of 3 months, and having all of the customer service staff attached to that, and all of the logistics managers, and the massive cost of printing as well, like $500,000 print runs, like it's massive. And um, so by that point, the business had built up to like 20 plus staff to try and manage that, huge task that we were undertaking. And I discovered along the way, like, it's just not my dream job to have a business like that. I don't like managing people on that level. It's not a good fit for me as a person, as a creative, as a sensitive soul, as a person with autism. It really messes up my nervous system. So um, I got really unwell physically. I had long swine flu. I was an early adopter of long animal illnesses. This was back in 2016, and I was kind of bedridden for 6 months or so. And I was like, okay, I need to make a change for my health and for my family, and to put my focus back on the things that really matter. And the things that really matter to me is having a good, gentle life with my family and having a creative career that I loved. So over the space of a few years, I right-sized my business back to a point where it felt really beautiful again. So moving back to just having one part-time assistant for a really long time. We do have more now. We have 4 part-time assistants, um, as we're kind of in growth mode again, but it's not going to really get any bigger than that. And altogether, they make up less than one full-time person. So, yeah, I think right-sizing the business was one of the best gifts I ever gave myself, and such a good bet on me. I knew that it just wasn't the right thing for me to keep doing, and that it was going to continue causing more pain for me and my health and my family to keep following that growth mode, growth at all costs, when I could just have a really beautiful, simplified business that makes me ridiculously happy.
I think that is such a beautiful thing too, because in the business world, everyone thinks you have to have the massive team to be successful, and you have to be doing the massive profit, and you have to just that whole hustle culture of keep going, keep going, keep going. And sometimes success for people is just more time with your kids,
Hmm.
or going on a holiday, or just turning the computer off really and not having
Mm.
to look at it. So
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful that you're just like, yeah, I did that and now I'm doing this and it's so much cooler.
Yeah. And like honestly, like, because when you get to a point where you're at that stage in business, and just massive costs involved with staffing and things like that, like I actually, you know, pretty much earn the same amount of profit as I was when I was doing a nearly $3 million year. Sitting around the 7 figure mark, just $1 million a year, is just such a sweet spot for me, really. And I'm very, very grateful that I had the courage to do it.
So did you do anything special to celebrate when you hit your first million?
No, I've never been somebody who like celebrates externally by that. I just get this like the dopamine hit of like, yeah, I did it. Nice confidence boost. Next thing. Yeah, let's go. I'm not particularly motivated by external rewards. It's like just winning at my own game is such a thrill. Like just feeling like number one in my own head is such a thrill.
Awesome. And when I first started stalking you, sorry, they don't normally come out and say I'm a stalker, but I
No,
am.
I
I
love it. I
first
encourage it heartily.
started stalking you. I was at that time just when you decided to turn off all social media. So I was
Mm.
glad you came back, but are you happy to share why you decided to take a break from socials?
Yeah. I've been an online creator for a really long time, obviously. And at a certain point, it just started feeling like so much. And I was so burnt out, just burnt to a crisp, and was noticing my creativity was changing in ways that I didn't really love. So at the start of 2021, I decided to um, do a series of experiments, 21-day experiments of just trying out new habits, like 21 days of journaling, 21 days of meditation, 21 days of yoga. And one of those experiments I wanted to try was 21 days without social media. And when I went to do that, I realized like I had so much anxiety about it. Like I really felt like I was going to miss out on something, like I was cutting off a vital organ. I was like, who cares? It's only 3 weeks. Just give it a go. And that process was so healing for me. And um, I kind of came back into myself in a way that I hadn't felt in a long time. And I realized at that point, like, oh, it can't just be 21 days, it needs to be longer. And I thought I would just take my business off for 3 months, trial it, see how it went, see if we saw a revenue change, and if we could do marketing in other ways instead. So we ended up staying offline, off social media for 2 years. I didn't plan on coming back, but I started having kind of this creative urge to want to create videos. And then I felt like stymied by my own creative rule of like, well, I can't be on social media, but a lot of video platforms are social media, like shit. And so after like some months of back and forth with myself, I was like, right, I'll just give myself permission to try it out again and do it in a way that's very strategic and aligned to me. So I don't actually look at any of my business social media. It all, like, I batch create everything. It goes into our scheduler. I've got a social media manager who looks after it. And it's out there making, like, I get to make stuff and it's out there doing stuff, but I don't really see what people are saying or doing. And I couldn't give two shits. And that's a much better place for me to be in mentally than being like really involved in the scene, basically.
I think that's important, and especially the not giving two shits, because I
Mm.
think that stops a lot of people from putting their content out there because they're
Mhm.
worried what other people will think. So we're missing all these beautiful messages that could have been because people are worried about others.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, the only bit that I like give a little bit of a shit about is that I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and some of the boys in her class have worked out that her mum is like a bit of an influencer. And I think they're a little bit enraptured with me. Like one of them's kind of come screeching up to me, Leonie Dawson, I want you on YouTube. And I was like, cool, like and subscribe, bro. Like, mm. So I think that's like the only possible embarrassment that I get out of it. But I was like, God, enjoy those videos where I pretend to be a Neanderthal, picking my own nose and eating it. Like, enjoy. If that's what's like you want to spend your time doing, you do that. You do that. And like I said to my daughters are so wise. I feel so lucky. But I said, oh, I'm really sorry. Is that embarrassing that your mum is this? And that people could like a public figure. And she was like, honestly, mum, no matter what your job was, you were always going to be the really weird mum. So it's fine, honestly. Like honestly, let's accept it for what it is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. She's
beautiful.
so sage. She just accepts life as it is. You're always really going to be the weird one, weren't you? Yes. Yes, I was.
So, what motivates you every morning to keep going?
I just like seeing what's going to happen next, really. I don't know. Like, I just like, oh, I'm not one of those people that plans out launches or what I'm going to make next. It's like, oh, let's see what happens next. I'm definitely like somebody, like, I get an idea for something while I'm falling asleep. And then 3 days later, I'll like email it out to my list, like a brand new course or program or book or whatever. And even my right hand girl is Zeta, she doesn't find out until everybody else gets emailed. Like, and she's like, oh, that's what we're doing. Okay, great. Good on you. Like, amazing. I'm excited for this ride. So I like the spontaneity of it. I think if I was somebody who planned well in advance, the magic would go out of it for me. I like seeing what things I can make next. I like making weird shit. Like during the pandemic, I decided to write an erotic romance novella and release that. That was hilarious. Anything that I can make that just amuses me, or it just feels like something I've always wanted to create, or feels like it's going to be of service to other people, that feels really fun. I think creating's like the big golden part for me. And then chasing goals. I love chasing goals. Why not?
This erotic novella, is it still available online to check out or?
Yes, it's called Salt and it's written under my pen name, which is Lola Lee. Because you can find it on my website. I thought I would release it under an anonymous name and never tell anyone, but then I was like, as if I can't keep a secret to myself.
I love that. That's awesome. I'll have
Yeah.
to go and check out your erotic novella. I'm
Oh, it's
intrigued.
hot. It's
Oh,
steamy, doll. Steamy.
okay. Is there lots of like just warnings, like get prepared for what you're about to, you
Oh,
know?
this is the warning. Just it does what it says on the book. It's an erotic novella.
Don't go near your husband if you don't want more babies, is pretty much what it.
That's right. That's right. Get those contraceptives out.
So, what would you say so far has been your biggest achievement with your business or your business journey?
Honestly, like the absolute sheer luck that I've been able to pull this off for so long, and to be able to have the time that I have with my kids feels like just this enormous, enormous, ridiculous blessing of like the best thing I could ever receive. Like bringing in 14 million is really cool, but being able to have spent the quantity of time that I have with my kids feels just so exciting. And we homeschooled for 3 years before the pandemic even happened. And I think those will be like some of the, when I'm like a super old lady, that's what I'll be thinking back on, going, yeah, we had those days and that was so cool and so fun. And the fact that I got to earn a lot of money as I did that, like I couldn't ask for more out of life.
Homeschooling is beautiful. I homeschool my little girls, and it's beautiful. Every day
Yeah.
is different, which I love. That whole
Mm.
spontaneity you mentioned, yeah, every day for us is different. Like yesterday, we went ice skating because we were like, why not? Let's
Yes. Yes.
go.
100%. Oh, that makes me so happy. It's like, it's just such an enormous blessing, isn't it? Like to get to have that amount of adventure time with your kids and see where your interests lay and see them bloom. It's a beautiful thing.
And I've found it helps with in that having them around so much, that curiosity makes you look at things so differently. And then it
Mhm.
allowed me to look at my businesses differently too and go, oh, yeah, okay. So just to bring back that childlike nature is a beautiful thing.
Mm, that's so gorgeous. Oh, how old are your kids?
7, 5, and 3. Three
Oh,
little
the
girls.
sweetest. Yeah. And they're just so excitable by everything. It's just the golden age.
Yes, and all already awesome ice skaters, whereas here I am like, don't fall, don't
Flailing.
fall.
Yeah. Don't break anything.
That was it. Yeah, it was the whole don't break because I'm not going to bounce up as
Yeah.
nice as
No,
they will.
no, not at all.
So what has been your biggest challenge so far with business?
I think the point where, I had a really large team and by, all the external trappings that look like success aplenty. And, there's definitely like an ego thrill of being like, I've got 20 something staff, yeah, yeah, yeah. And, a business that's like rapidly growing in revenue. That all like looks super exciting. And then discovering that it just wasn't the right fit for me. And a part of that, you think, "Oh, there's some kind of deficit in me for not feeling great about this, for not enjoying managing staff, for, just feeling heartsick that I was having to spend time dealing with people issues instead of creating what I really wanted to. That was really hard. Um, and getting to that point of going, okay, it's not for me. I need to change and streamline some things and make this feel good to me again. That was the biggest challenge and the like just the biggest blessing. I just feel so grateful to my past self for being that courageous and trusting myself in that decision.
Hmm. You've been in business a very long time. That was your words, not mine. A very long
It's a really long time.
time. And there's a lot of businesses that unfortunately, especially at the moment, are having it really rough or not continuing on. Do you have like a secret sauce that's kept you in
Mm.
business so long?
Yeah, I think like being aware of your hedgehog concept of like what's the thing that you're really good at and that people want and that you're really excited to do and sticking pretty close to that and using those like same tried and true strategies of sharing your work with the world in an even bigger way. Don't just follow what everybody else is doing, but actually innovate, test for yourself what actually works. Just like I have so many people that, are saying, oh, life's not like, business isn't working for me. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing marketing wise? Oh, I'm posting on social media 3 times a week. What are you going to do differently? I'm going to post twice a day on social media. And it just seems like a fool's errand. Like that method isn't giving you results. There are literally thousands of other ways to market your business that's like potentially getting to get you more results in a faster period of time for cheaper. So focus on those. They're not like as glamorous as social media, but viral doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean sustainable business growth. What you want is sustainable business growth. So the things that I focus on is I have a mailing list. I'm always giving away free stuff to get people onto that mailing list. I'm always emailing them every single week with something free or something I've written and continuing to build that know, like, trust factor with them. And then when I do have something to offer them, I offer them something that's a total no-brainer, something that's going to help them that isn't like crazy expensive and that it's just such an easy yes. Like, of course I do that. Like, she's still giving me so much value. So, like, with my academy, it's under $200 a year, and you get access to all of my courses and workshops that I've created, and you get 12 brand new ones over the next year. You also get 24 guest experts, you get like 12 new templates. Like it's nearly 100 courses of stuff, all things to help you with growing your business and marketing. Like it's such a no-brainer of like, oh yeah, of course, this person's here to help me and she gets results. So um, I stick to that method of knowing how I can help people. And then I try out and innovate in new things as well and see what works and what could be the next new thing as well. I think the important thing is continuing to learn and educate and try new things. And also, like, if shit's dire and you can't pay for your rent or pay for food, it is totally fine to get a job. Honestly, like, jobs are amazing. They basically just seed investors while you can get your business back on track or while you can build it. I started selling stuff online in 2002. I didn't leave my full-time job till I was 2010. Like 8 years of growing things on the side. It doesn't have to be a race. It doesn't have to be right now. You can just enjoy the journey where it's at. I had the best fucking time working. Like I worked with really fun people. I got to try out lots of new things, and I really committed to making the workplace fun as well and bringing as much glitter and magic as I could, even into a cubicle job for the Australian government. I did crazy shit, like did angel card readings at my desk and did spontaneous massages, and we would have picnics in the park at lunchtime, and I had hugging competitions at work, and just whatever I could do to bring joy into my day, I did that. And that was a wonderful way to be of service in the world as well. So I don't regret any of my time in a job. If I needed to, I'd 100% do it again. Like if I need to look after my physical needs and my business is going through a patch where it's not like helping me, of course I'm going to look after my physical needs so that my brain could come online enough in order to be able to innovate and try new things again.
If anyone's listening, please go back and re-listen to that because it's been especially in the community, a lot of people have been going, what happens if I have to go back to a job? As you said, they're a seed investor, which I absolutely love. Go
Mm,
back, and if you have to do that, then go.
mm.
So, yeah.
It's totally fine. Like it's like I just know I have known so many people. It's like, I've been in business for a really long time. And some people will go back as consultants or they'll take a short-term contract or whatever. Like you get to have freedom here. I even know somebody who went back to working in office because they realized that they don't like working by themselves. They get excited by being around other people. Beautiful, amazing. And I think like whatever is serving you, perfect, do that. That is just going to be brilliant and perfect. And you can create a good life wherever you go.
So you mentioned before about goal setting. Do you have
Mhm.
any big, hairy, scary goals you'd like to share?
Yeah, like I've got my revenue goal for this year. I've been around the $1 million mark for quite a few years now. I like to push it up to like 1.5 this year. Whether it happens or not, totally cool with it, but it'll be a fun experiment to try with as well. And just like, I also have like my own profit goals as well because I like to keep really strong profit margins in that. That's really important. And just to continue having a bloody lovely life and enjoying the shit out of my kids and um, having a good relationship. Because if I don't have those things, then like the rest isn't as delicious.
Do you have a final tip for anyone listening in regards to business, creativity, mindset, life, Leonie's
Hmm.
universe, anything?
Firstly, I think just trusting that wherever you're at, there's a reason for it and you get to learn really beautiful lessons from it. And I kind of feel like the whole point of life is to help us face some of our biggest fears and get through our own stuff and our own like the only ways that we create a box around ourselves. So for example, um, I'm have always been quite passionate about alternative education. We've homeschooled and done different methods. And now we're at a point where my kids are in pretty much a mainstream school now, and we're even looking at moving into a state school, which is something that I never thought I would do, but it's just the next right thing for my kid and what they need. And as much as it makes me like it makes me confront like those fears and but what would that mean and all of the prejudices I have about that and ask like what is really true here and what new things could I discover about the world and myself in this process. And maybe it's a real blessing for me to give up on a lot of those judgments and just try and see if it works. And if it doesn't, that's fine. We can do something else. But if it does, amazing. So I feel very grateful to how the world keeps on bringing me these blessings and these challenges to make me deeper and wider and more accepting of all of life. When I think of the big inspirations of my life, I think of my three elders, my grandmother, who lived to 97, and her sister, Lucy, who lived to 99, and then the little old lady who lived down the road named Nan, and she lived to 102. And all of them had such obviously very long lives, and so many huge things happened during their time. They went through wars, they lost children, they lost grandchildren. Um, some of them went through divorce and heartache, and um, all it did was make them lovelier and more compassionate and more accepting. And it was like the river of life had tumbled them around, that they were just the smoothest, most polished tumbled stone. And they gave love wherever they went. And I think of them and I want this life with all of its hardness and its blessings and its fuck ups and its difficulties to make me softer and wider and more open to all of it, not more jaded, more critical, more rigid in who I am. So, whatever comes this way, may it make me more of who I am and more in love with all of life that is.
Such a beautiful note to end on. And I just want to give you like a big hug So we have to meet in person sometime so I can give you a big hug.
I would love that. That'd be so amazing. Yes, please. All over it.
Yes, awesome. So where do we stalk you? How do we find
Oh,
you?
honestly, like you can fire me on the socials if you like watching people pick their nose and eat it. Um, while pretending to be a Neanderthal, because why else? What else are we going to do with my time? Um, you can find me on the socials, Leonie Dawson, but most of all, go to my website, leoniedawson.com. I have a free shit page, and it is just full of so much free shit I've made over the years, from like 300-page coloring in books to books about marketing to meditations, like affirmations for having the best day ever. So many things. Just go get some free shit from there, and then you can really experience some of the wild ways that I share my creativity. And then I can just keep sending you more free shit, and that'll be so fun. And we get to like start this lifelong journey of sharing about all of life.
Yeah, and get sucked into the Leonie universe like I did.
Yeah, it's sticky.
It is. But it's beautiful, and it's why I keep coming back. And that's why I'm so excited to have you today. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, KK, it's been such a blessing. Thank you for being you, and thank you for holding the space to have these conversations.